Ryan and
KRISTIN
for another episode of Passing Notes. This episode, we're going to be talking about the deficiency clause, and it will help you buy more sub-2 deals. That being said, the deficiency clause, I have no clue. Sub-2, I get.
So I didn't even know that this was a thing.
Okay.
Deficiency clause states, and it's been around for several years now, that if you go to a foreclosure and that house does not sell for as much as what you owe the lender can sue you for that difference.
I thought the whole point of foreclosure was like, hey, I give up, take the house, and I'll run away, and I get some bad credit, whatever.
Yes.
Is this a regional thing, or is this an everywhere thing?
I don't know the answer exactly to that. Check your state.
Okay.
I can tell you that Texas has it. I discovered it. Illinois has it. Most states have this.
How did you hear about this? Where'd you get hit with it?
No, I didn't get No, I didn't get hit with it.
Hey,
I know, exactly.
It's 2020.
Well, I'm being foreclosed on. No, no, I was, researching foreclosure laws in just a bunch of different states. And I'm like, deficiency clause, what is this?
Yeah.
It's been around since Dodd-Frank, but it states that you can be sued for the difference if the foreclosure auction doesn't bring what you owe on the house.
So is it a part of Dodd-Frank?
I don't know, but it's curious that it would coincide with January 1st, 2014, when all of the regulations came in. So
it sounds kind of fishy in the sense of Dodd-Frank is to help you, it's to help the people, it's to help the masses. Oh, by the way, here's this other thing we're slipping in that we can get, hey, we'll still get ours.
Right.
Which, from an investor standpoint, cool, I'm glad that's there, but from a consumer law, hey, what's right? If you're going to go through all this trouble of doing Dodd-Frank, just do Dodd-Frank.
Well, I don't think it has anything to do specifically with Dodd-Frank, but it is a protection for the banks, for lenders, that if they don't get what they, are owed at that auction, exactly what they're owed.
I get it. It makes sense. I mean, if I'm pretty sure if your car gets repoed, you still owe them money,
right?
So why wouldn't it matter? Why it should be the same thing on your house?
Well, and it's also if your borrower doesn't take care of that house. Mm-hmm. If you're a homeowner and you just kind of let the thing go to hell and the roof needs to be replaced and trees cut down and all of this, and you just haven't taken care of it, it might not pull that much in auction.
From an auctioneer's standpoint or a buyer's standpoint. Mm-hmm. So, how does that even work? Is it just like, and if I'm an investor or if I'm a homeowner, and okay, here's this house. I lose the house. I lose my credit. It's going to auction. Some investor a-hole picks it up for $5,000. I'm still on the hook for $95,000.
I don't think it's that severe.
Well, yeah.
Of what they're going to do, but technically, yes.
But is it? It's not like. But
I don't think
it's like
they're going to let it go something that's got a $95,000.
Right.
Price I don't think they're going to let it go for $5,000.
Yeah.
They'll just take it back themselves.
Right.
But if they had a legitimate offer and they decided to take it at something like 90, 85 or 90, yes, that homeowner with the deficiency clause could be on the hook for that amount.
It almost makes you go, you should have just went bankrupt.
Possibly. If they wanted to keep it.
Well, I'm just saying the deficiency clause, there's no way that it stays after bankruptcy because the BK pretty much wipes everything except student debt, right?
Yeah. And I think IRS tax liens.
Well, yeah. Well,
stuff like that.
They're going to get theirs.
Government liens, yeah.
So real quick, I do want to mention something that you said at the very beginning that I think is very, very important for all in real estate investors. And that was you were researching foreclosure law. A very sexy topic to be researching, but it plays into that whole, if you think you know everything in real estate, find a mirror and slap yourself in the face.
Yeah.
So you always have to be learning.
This has been around for 6 years.
Right.
Why have I never heard of this before? Because while I would never actually enforce it on somebody, it's going to make me very successful or more successful in subject to negotiations and also cash for keys negotiations, because that's an added thing I can put in there.
Right.
Hey, if you take this to foreclosure, I'm trying to be your friend right now and I'm trying to pay you money to sign it back to me. you want to take this to foreclosure and stay in this house as long as you can.
Right.
If this goes to auction and doesn't sell for what it should, I am going to
come
after you for the
from
difference.
an investor standpoint, you would use it as more of a
leveraging.
I don't want to use the threatening word.
Threats.
You know.
Such an ugly word.
You're more just enforcing the contract that's there.
Right.
You know, promises to enforce.
You know, it's one extra stick to bring out if they don't go for the carrot.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of carrots, make sure you like, subscribe. If you haven't been to our YouTube channel, go to youtube.com/passingnotes and subscribe. Leave a comment, leave a share, smash the like button. As ridiculous it is to say those things in a video about the deficiency clause, it does help the algorithms, and that's the only way these channels will grow. Also, we do have a monthly group, a mastermind group for note investing called Passing Notes, or Passing Notes Group, also known as the Note Group. So if you go to passingnotesgroup.com, you can learn everything there is to know about investing in non-performing and performing notes. And we meet twice a week on a Zoom call, and post-Corona, we'll be meeting more and more and more. So that's our little mini sales pitch right here at the beginning.
Good job.
You like that?
I did.
So, you know, the deficiency clause, when it comes to the sub-2, you were talking about to get more sub-2 deals.
Sure.
I can plainly see from an investor standpoint how you could use the deficiency clause to make sure you could almost use that at the beginning to be like, hey, by the way, there is this thing. It's a standard practice. You just never read it. And then if it ever comes at the end, you could almost do like, well, just, you know, deed in lieu versus me suing you or foreclosing. And it's almost like an extra stick / carrot stick, whatever. You know, do you see where I'm going with that?
Yes.
Where it's like, because standard is like, oh, you can't pay. Well, why go through the foreclosure process? Let's just do deed in lieu. But if you've got like someone who's a little fighty on there, you'd be like, look, I'm going to foreclose on you. You're going to lose the house and your credit, and also I'm going to sue you after all this.
Right.
So why don't we just do a deed in lieu?
Yes. So, and you wouldn't want that judgment. I mean, I don't think anybody would want that extra judgment slapped on their credit that they have to pay off. So I just, you know,
sorry to interrupt, but it's like, because you're going to have a foreclosure and a lawsuit?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
I know. So the foreclosure, you're thinking, oh, it's done. You know, I've gotten to live for free for a while. But what if you actually don't get to live for free?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you owe this guy $10,000, $20,000, or this bank,
and you have no house.
And you have no house. That sucks. Now, you know, it might take you buying another house somewhere down the road to be able to actually have them collect on it.
Right.
But you still owe that.
Man. I interrupted you. Do you remember?
Because all of a sudden the light bulb went off and you're like, wait a
minute. Did I interrupted you? Do you remember what you were talking about before I interrupted you?
It was something about, you know, just that extra negotiation of the deficiency clause.
Because I think in this world, I just interrupted you again. I'm pulling a KRISTIN.
Oh, ouch.
I know, right? No, but it's the whole like when you're the bank, you have all the power to negotiate. And even though traditional banks don't negotiate, having those tools like the deficiency clause, the loan modification, all these different things, again, it's that negotiation tool belt.
Yes, and what can you pull out of that? And what can you threaten them with? This also comes into a lot of non-performing note investors. Not just if you're going after those subject twos, which a subject two is basically you're going after a non-performing note, but you're going directly to the homeowner and trying to take over their loan and catch it up. In most cases, sometimes it's due to a lot of repairs. But for the most part, when you're going after subject to deals, they're already behind in their payments. They're already losing sleep. And if they think that, okay, well, I'm just going to ride this out right now and I'll just stay in my house and, you know, foreclosure is going to happen fine. My credit's going to be jacked up for a little while, but I will at least be out of it when I'm all done.
So in terms of to buy more sub-2 houses, is it more just a even though you're not speaking for the bank and you're not an attorney and you're not the realtor giving them advice, but you're saying, hey, there is this tool that they could possibly use. I'm not saying they will, but I'm also saying they're not. So therefore, just give me your keys.
Kind of, yes.
But not that aggressive.
Not that aggressive, but yes. I mean, if you thought that the worst that could happen to you was foreclosure,
right?
Some people might write it out to do that. If they found out that they could also owe tens of thousands of dollars afterwards, they might be more inclined to take a subject to deal and take it faster, because think about it from non-performing notes for like up in New York. Right? We know that those take 12 to 18 months, sometimes longer, depending on how long that borrower kicks the can down the road. But during all of that time, interest is still accumulating. They still owe somebody that money. So their unpaid principal balance at the time they defaulted might have only been $100,000, but 2 years later, it might be $150,000.
So if this has been around for 6 years and you just now researched it or came across it, clearly it's not being used or at least being enforced. Is it? And we don't know where it's being used.
Okay, and that's an excellent point, and I thought about that.
Yeah.
How prevalent have foreclosures been? And because we're in such a strong real estate market, the likelihood is that even if something did go to foreclosure auction, it was being sold for at least the amount owed, if not above that. So how prevalent would the deficiency clause be?
So do you think the deficiency clause is a reaction to the Dodd-Frank coming out, or do you think it was more of a reaction to the 08, oh shit, not only did we lose a lot of money, but a lot of these banks got crushed?
I think it's a reaction to the banks getting crushed. And I think it's obviously a bank lobby who put that in there.
Right, because the thing is, and I'm not an attorney and I'm not a financial planner, but I know how, at least I think I know how investors work, is if I'm a bank and I have a million notes out there that are all non-performing and I'm about to get crushed, but then I also have a million deficiency clause potential lawsuits, I could probably sell off those lawsuits to other banks, or I could wholesale the deficiency clause.
Possibly.
Couldn't I?
Maybe.
Because if I wholesale
at what percent? At what percent?
Enough to stay alive as a company.
Possibly. Maybe
I mean,
enough
this is all hypothetical.
It's all hypothetical. I mean, I would say that you could probably sell off some of them, but you're talking pennies on the dollar. 5. I mean, what would they go for? 5,
yeah, but
10
that's
cents?
what do credit cards buy debt at? They buy it at pennies on the dollar, and then they're insured, so they still collect their insurance on the credit, and then they sell off.
Credit card companies are, in effect, genius, because they're a lot of times by that point, that money they've been charging 30% on.
Yeah.
And by the time somebody's really, really defaulting on it, they've been making monthly payments and basically staying even on debt for a couple years, forever. So they've been making basically all of this money without reducing the principal at all.
Right.
So by the time they're charging off, they're way ahead on that anyways.
I don't know. It's just the deficiency clause is so random to me.
It is.
And the fact that I've never heard of it, the fact you've never heard of it, I've never heard of it talked about. Because at least with like the due on sale clause, like there's always, everybody knows of a guy that knew a guy that had a friend that had a cousin that the due on sale clause hit.
Is it true?
But that's what I'm saying is.
No, people assume that the bank is going to call that due on sale clause, but I know firsthand that they're not.
My point being is, it's rumor. Everybody knows it exists. Everybody's scared of it. And everybody supposedly knows somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody that it happened to, but nobody actually has it ever happened to. I think Scott and Grant said that maybe 1 or 2 out of 100 million gajillion notes they've ever done. So the percentage is
the only
extremely low.
Right. I know of one.
Yeah.
And Scott was able to actually roll that back and keep it from from losing the deal anyways.
But my point being is that's a well-known thing.
Yeah.
And a due on sale clause to me is like, oh, well, no big deal. I'll just refinance this, or I'll get another investor to kick in some, or whatever. There's ways to, fine,
yes,
whatever.
Yes, yes.
Screw you. Give me a week. I got this taken care of.
There's a way to, there's a way to, if it happens, make some phone calls. You can get something done.
But a deficiency clause, I mean, the consumer, they're just screwed. If it's
enacted. Yeah, because if a bank decides to actually go after it. So I can't imagine that, if it's a straight foreclosure and it's moved fast and they haven't done things like file bankruptcy 2 or 3 times, and really tied this thing up, I can't imagine that they would be called. However, going to the flip side, a bank loses a bunch of money because they're dealing with some jerk borrower who just wants to stay in the house for free for a year and a half, 2 years, and maybe has been through this rodeo before and knows, okay, if we just kick the can down the road, maybe they'll sell it, and then nobody's going to come ask us for money.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you've seen it. I send out these tapes to the passing notes students, and they're always like, this person hasn't paid for 10 years. And I'm like, I know. They have not paid for 10 years.
And guess what they're not going to do you?
They're not going to start paying.
Right.
So, but if you foreclosed on that, could you threaten them with a deficiency clause going, all right, this is what you owe and this is what the house is worth now because you haven't paid for so long. So if you make me go to foreclosure here, if you don't sign over the house to me now,
I think anybody
and give
watching,
me keys. I know, but
the first thing they need to be doing is rewriting all their owner finance contracts. Because if it's not already in there, if it's owner finance contract, they probably don't have it.
Go to your state.
Yeah.
Just go type in deficiency clause and the state. Deficiency clause, real estate state. Whatever state you're in. And I think people would be surprised to go, holy crap, is that really allowed? Yeah. And if you're a borrower and you're facing something like that, and he's going, you can take my deal. You can sign this property back over to me. Give me a couple $1,000s. Yeah.
It's like, hey, here's cash for keys and nothing on your credit. I get the house, I get the contract, I get the deed, whatever. You go on your merry way. I'll even give you a week to vacate, whatever.
Yeah.
Or 2 weeks, whatever the negotiate, because it's Wild Wild West, you can negotiate. Or not only are you going, your credit's trash, but you're going to potentially be sued. Or if it's me, you're definitely getting sued.
Yeah, no, it's me foreclosing on you.
Oh, and by the way, who's your attorney? This is my attorney, and they're the biggest one in the state.
Yeah. You can say whatever you want to get it done, but if you don't accept this, and I would probably play nice first as friends.
Yeah.
But if they basically take 2 weeks and go, yeah, I'm not going to take that deal. Go, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and it is my right. I will slap you with a judgment for anything that if this property doesn't bring in that full dollar amount.
And being that it's 2020, I feel like I need to make sure that my excitement, giddiness, whatever about this concept is more about that this exists versus, oh, I'm going to take advantage of people. That's not what it is.
It's not. You're talking about people who haven't paid a mortgage for a while.
Right.
And in these cases, if they are really holding on to it for as long as they possibly can, that is their intent, is to live for free as long as they can. But
my point is you're never wanting to take advantage of people, but realizing that there's an additional tool in your tool belt to potentially help people and or motivate them to make a tough decision. Because a lot of times when people are in distressed situations, the easiest thing to do is just be the ostrich.
Yes.
And stick their head in the
sand.
And
I think that's what happens a lot of times. I've gone after sub-2 deals and I'm like, this is a lock.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, there's no way they're going to say no to this. Everything is in their favor. And lo and behold, they're like, no, we don't want to do that. You follow up with them until, a week before foreclosure auction.
Right.
And they're like, no, I've got it handled. And then they go to foreclosure auction and they lose the house. And you're like, how did this happen? I thought I was really clear.
Yeah, it goes back to that whole, like, if anybody in the wholesale game or that does marketing for buying houses, when you get your most phone calls? It's like the Monday before auction day.
Yeah, the day before auction day.
Yeah, the the Monday before the first Tuesday of the month.
When all of a sudden people are like, oh crap.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose this
First
house
Tuesday,
tomorrow.
right?
It's the first Tuesday of the month.
Yeah, that's
well,
when
it depends on where you're at.
In Texas,
In Texas is the first Tuesday.
So, like, because you always get, I mean, because you can get you can market for 6 months to somebody who knows, hey, that you're going to get foreclosed, you're going to get foreclosed. No, I'm okay. I'll figure it out. And then Monday afternoon, hey, I'm being foreclosed. I'm losing my house tomorrow. Anything you do? Like, yeah, I can. Here's an attorney. Go do a BK real quick. Go do a bankruptcy because that's the only way you're going to keep the house before tomorrow.
Yeah, well, sometimes you can maybe get a contract to that attorney and say, I'll close this week.
So maybe. But I mean,
but they might not accept that.
I mean, and if you have, I mean, say you have a miracle title company and a miracle title plant that can run everything that afternoon or early that morning, but we're talking, you have a better case of dying of corona than that happening.
Oh, than being able, yes.
This video is definitely being banned. You know? Yeah. No, I'm just saying the percentage is incredibly low that you're ever going to be able to
close in a day.
You can close in a day, but what I'm talking about, like, if they get a call at 3:00 on a Monday, you still have to go look at the house. You still have to run numbers, go run comps, drop everything, get repair bids
before you know if you even want to do it.
Before you, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the auction's like what, 9 a.m. the next day?
Yeah.
8 a.m. the next day?
Yeah.
And if you're lucky enough, that house is not up for auction until maybe the last one on the block.
Yeah.
Anyway, deficiency clause sounds like an amazing tool to put in your toolbox.
A little extra. It's a stick. Don't get me wrong. And I don't ever
not a
like.
Stick. It's a bat.
I know. I don't ever like to use stuff like that. But if you get, if you're looking for cash for keys, or you're looking to pick up that contract subject to,
yeah,
I have to imagine that just the threat or the possibility that you might owe a bunch of money on top of being foreclosed on, I have to imagine it would that would tip it and go,
yeah.
Gosh, I don't.
Well, because again, not to repeat ourselves over and over, but most of these people that have gone, okay, you know what, I'm losing the house, I'm getting foreclosed on, whatever,
I don't
my
care
credit's
anymore.
shot, I don't care, whatever. But not only your credit shot, but you could be sued for damages. That's not damages, whatever it's called. I'm not a lawyer.
The deficiency clause just puts a judgment on your credit that you could own. And think about how much you could possibly owe.
Oh.
Tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Shout out to any consumers. If you do need credit repair, go check out 700 Credit Repair, Billy Alt. You know.
Did you just do a commercial?
I just did a commercial. He'll pay us $1 million gajillion for that. Tell him Ryan and KRISTIN sent you, and he'll be like, "Who?" Nah, he was on Jess Marshall's podcast a while back, so
yeah,
he seems to be legit and knows what he's talking about when it comes to credit repair.
Those are hard to find legit credit repair people.
I know. Well, he has a boat, so therefore He
has a boat.
No, he's got a lot of.
Did you take a picture in front of a boat, or were you actually on his boat?
I've never been on his boat, but I have been to his office. But there's a ton of people there, and he has a lot of staff, and I don't know. Again, you can fake a lot, but it's hard to fake staff.
I don't know. I've seen people fake an office before.
Right. I get it. Anyway, if you've liked this episode, please drop a comment. Please give us some love. Do you have any final thoughts on this?
No, I just research whatever state you're in.
Yeah.
Find out because I haven't gone to all 50 states, but I did go to like 7 or 8. Mm-hmm. The ones that I'm personally interested in.
Of course. Ohio, Florida.
Thank you. Tennessee, Georgia.
Is Michigan on there or Baltimore?
Ohio.
I said Ohio.
Michigan I'm intrigued by.
Okay.
Especially when I get on Zillow and I'm like, oh, there's a house for like $1,500.
I could buy a whole neighborhood for 75 cents in Detroit. Wow.
Hey, there's some nice parts of Detroit.
Yeah.
If you've been up there, it's coming around.
So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you?
info@capricornmortgage.com, or you can like me on Instagram at KRISTIN GERST.
Right there. And
nice.
I'm Ryan Harper, even though my hashtag is, or my @ is Ryan S. Harper. S
Right.
stands for Scott. That could be my new call sign. Ryan S. Harper. S stands for Scott, just to be extra douchey. But then also, if you're looking to get into notes, check out passingnotesgroup.com, where KRISTIN actually goes on, and we'll be on here in about an hour or so for the private membership only group. So if you would like more information about that, go to passingnotesgroup.com or shoot either one of us a DM and we'll give you all the information you need. Sekou Daisy, any questions from you guys? Cool. If you have questions and you want to drop in the comments, we'll address those later. Thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time.